I don't want anyone to feel bad for me, because trust me, I am in the most amazing place in my entire life. I'm at the peak of the peak of the peak. I feel awesome. I don't even remember half the shit unless I have to dig deep and take it out of my brain, because it's not something that I'm actually, I don't think about it all the time. What's going on? This is Michael Barayev with Spitting Fire, and today is Monday. And as you guys know, every single Monday we come at you and spit fire and spit the truth and nothing but the truth. Come on, man. So today we're gonna talk about struggles. Ooh. I love struggles, man. Struggles make you stronger. Struggles make you better. And the reason why I'm smiling, and I'll tell you why, it's very, very simple, because I think back to all of my struggles when I was, when I was born as a kid, and my adolescent days and my teenage days and stuff like that. And I was just thinking about all that stuff. And I was telling Tony, I was like, I can't even remember some of the struggles that I had. It's so deeply embedded into my brain that I look back at them now, I'm like, oh, it's no big deal. Like, I went through that? Really? I just don't remember. I don't remember the past pains and painful process, because I've gotten to a point where I learned to control my emotions to such a level that nothing can faze me. Like, I may get angry, but pain, long-term pain, where it destroys you internally, doesn't happen anymore. And you gotta be, it's a skill. And I don't know where that skill comes from. I don't know how I've been able to develop that skill. It wasn't until a couple of years ago that I was able to do that, because, I went through a lot of struggles. We're gonna talk about that today, about my struggles. We're gonna talk today about Eric's struggles, and he may have more struggles than me, he may have less. It doesn't really matter. You have struggles. You may have situations that you've been through that you may not be proud of, but maybe you're proud of going through them and becoming a victor through them, and not being a victim. And it's very, very, very important to not put yourself down and beat yourself up. So I'm gonna start with some of the struggles, but before we start with struggles, I'm gonna ask you some of the struggles. You're gonna ask me about my struggles, so it's a back and forth. But do you remember some of your struggles when you were younger? Like, did you have any struggles? Like, did you have any problems as a kid? I mean, I'm talking about from the ages of maybe the second you were born till, as your memory can, capture that, till maybe like 10 years old. Do you remember anything crazy?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say I had as many personal family struggles as maybe some people did. I grew up in a pretty nice neighborhood in a pretty nice house. I mean, when I was 8 years old, my parents had a pretty nasty breakup.
How old were you?
I was 8.
So you were 8 years old.
Yeah.
So you were the same age as my two brothers when my parents got divorced.
Yeah. Now, to be honest with you, it didn't really have that big of a psychological impact, at least not one that I was consciously aware of. Maybe it, affected me at a deeper level that I didn't know, but for what it felt like, it didn't really affect me too much. It affected my sister a lot more. I mean, my father was still there for me through it, so I guess that helped. It's not like he just disappeared, but I didn't have too many real major, struggles growing up. I would say, if I had to be honest, it was pretty good. I mean, as everybody, you're gonna have your struggles. You have your problems and stuff. And
what were some of those problems? Because can I be honest with you? I learned this from a very, very close mentor of mine. He said people relate with your struggles more than you relate with your successes. That's a powerful statement that he's made, and it was true, because every time you hear a speech or a motivational talk or inspirational talk from any successful individual, and they're telling you the things that they went through, right? And what I learned also from mentors, he's like, you want people to say me too, and that right there is I was like, wow, me too. Think about that. So I want people to see and hear the struggles that you went through, even if they were small, because a lot of people can relate with that. And I wanted to say me too, because it's very important. It's very important, because I want to inspire young people that are watching this and listening to this, because they are going through some struggles, and they may be relating with what you've gone through, even though you don't think it's as important as you may think. It is.
Yeah, well, number one, like I said, I mean, my parents getting divorced, I mean, it wasn't like a super clean one. It was a little messy, but I think that was one. But I think this is one that most people can relate to. It's not a huge struggle, but for me, I just felt like not many people understood me.
Wow.
I was very different. I wasn't just one type of person. I had many different don't want to say personalities, but many different aspects of who I was. And so
you're figuring yourself out.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't even necessarily say that. Just as a kid, I felt like I was very diversified in who I was. And so I can be one person one day and a very different type of thought process in person another. Not in a fickle kind of like multiple personality ways. I just felt like I had a lot of different aspects of me. And so...
Not like the movie Split, right?
It's funny because one of my friends said that was me in that movie. But
I mean, you got to shake your head a little bit.
Yeah.
I guess, right?
So I think just trying to get people to really understand. I kind of got to a point where I was just like, nobody's really going to fully understand me, so I just have to understand myself and be okay with that. But I just think that aspect of trying to have, like, explain myself to people was, you know, a little bit of a struggle for me because I would do a lot of different, you know, crazy things. And teachers didn't understand me, you know, friends, parents didn't understand me.
So you would be labeled as the weird kid.
Kind of. I was always really lovable. I was always really friendly. I always had a really upbeat, optimistic personality. Nothing really bothered me too much, to be honest, but I did, you know, a lot of different types of things. And I think people had trouble trying to figure out who I was, and people still do to a certain extent. And I've learned to be okay with that, and I'm comfortable with who I am, you know, all of me. And so I think that was something. And then, you know, listen, I think one thing that, you know, the interesting thing about mental health these days is you don't have to have a lot of actual physical or, you know, environmental stressors to be, to have, you know, mental stress. You know, a lot of people that are depressed, everything in their life would be seemingly good. No. You know, up a couple years ago, I was kind of depressed, you know, for a certain part of time, and everything was going great.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that.
I couldn't figure it out because everything was going good, but yet I was in the worst mental shape of my life.
We're gonna talk about that. That's what we're talking about, because we're gonna talk about 3 different stages from being born to about 10 years old, then your teenage years, and obviously, you know,
my younger years were pretty healthy, to be honest. Like, there wasn't too many major struggles, if I had to be honest. But you know, it's hard to think back exactly. I didn't really plan too much out to say about that, but I would say that those 2 things mainly.
So it was just, you know, your family's divorce took a toll on the way you were acting as a kid. Did you have a lot of friends when you were younger, or it was a little bit different?
I mean, honestly, I did. I always had a lot of friends. I always had
best friends.
I mean, I always had a lot of friends. I always had a lot of fun. I always, you know, enjoyed myself. I was always happy. So if I had to be completely honest, I mean, I hate to, you know, say this, you know, on a podcast about struggles, but I didn't really have too many.
That's fine. Because can I be honest with you? I had a different experience than you.
Yeah. My
experience was way different. You can ask me questions if you like about my experience, but my experience is completely different. I mean, from 0 to 10 years old, I wasn't the happiest kid. As a matter of fact, I remember crying every single day from almost 8 years old to about 11, 12 years old. I remember that like it was yesterday. And I don't know where it was coming from, but I know that, you know, as a young kid, my parents divorced, and they got divorced when I was 13 years old, 14 years old. So it's not like they divorced when I was 8, like my brothers did, because they didn't really see as much. I was the one that was actually involved in all the fights. So imagine a husband and a wife fighting, but instead of the husband and the wife fighting, it's the husband, the wife, and the kid who's got to take the mom's side and the dad's side. Okay, now just before I get into all these details, by no means am I looking for sympathy or empathy. I don't need that. I don't like that kissing shit. I don't like that stuff. Right? I don't need that. I don't want anyone to feel bad for me, because trust me, I am in the most amazing place in my entire life. I'm at the peak of the peak of the peak. I feel awesome. I don't even remember half the shit unless I have to dig deep and take it out of my brain, because it's not something that I'm actually, you know, I don't think about it all the time, pretty much, right? So domestic violence, domestic violence is a little bit crazy, right? I'm talking about when the police know your name by a number of the building you live in. That's when it gets a little bit crazy, okay? They used to call me 8911, because I used to live at 8911 in Queens. So they used to call me when they used to see me in the street, "Oh, you're 8911. And I was like, shit, I don't know. How do they know who I am? So it kind of took a toll when you know the police are showing up to your house every other night, because the neighbors are calling the police. You got all kinds of drama. I'm talking about, we literally had every single neighbor in our floor move out within those 10 years of us living there. I mean, every single tenant moved out.
Because of you?
I want to, you know what's crazy? I took blame for a very long time. My mom and my dad didn't want to blame me. They said it's not your fault, but I took the blame. I take the blame because I remember being a little conniving little sucker where if I wanted something, I would go to my mom, I'll go to my dad. Now I'm not gonna take full blame for my parents, problems, but they were not best friends. Till this day, God bless you and God bless me. Till this day, I have struggles with figuring out how to treat a woman and how to do nice things for a woman and be in a positive relationship. Because to me, I never had that example. I never had that mom and dad where everything was loving and dubbing. To me, it was violence beyond violence. It was domestic abuse. It was just a lot of crazy shit. And when you grow up from a small age of 1, 2, 3, and all the way up to 13, 14 years old, and all you know is your mom and dad fighting, your family fighting, police. I mean, it's crazy. You don't realize that marriage is a good thing. I thought marriage was war. I didn't want to get married for a very long time. I'm still not married, and I think that's a big toll it takes on me right now that I'm kind of afraid of getting married. And I'm actually open to say that I'm scared to live the life that my mom and dad lived. So that was a big thing for me. And because of all that drama, I started getting depressed as a kid. And around 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 years old during middle school, I was going through a phase. I don't want to say depression, but I was really sad, and I was in a deep dark. I remember at 6th grade, I was laying down on my desk, looking outside the window. It was the middle of spring, and I remember I felt like a dark, gloomy clouds. And I started to go to psychologists and all this kind of stuff. And I was just crying and crying and crying. I couldn't control myself, and I was getting picked on because I used to get not special privileges, but I would have to go to the counselor room, and the principal would kind of talk to me different times. So the kids thought I was kind of special, so to say, because I was getting all this time with the principals and the guidance counselors. So they started picking on me. And because they started picking on me, if you put I love lions. Like you see lions in my office, I love lions because lions don't fuck with you.
You love lions, but not liars.
No, I hate liars, but I love lions. And the reason why I love lions is because if you look at a lion, they're the most peaceful animals on the planet. If you poke a stick at them, they're gonna bite your head off. That's the kind of animal they are, and that's who I am. You leave me alone, I'm a happy dude. You start poking me with a stick, I get violent, right? So being picked on in middle school, be careful, right? Being picked on, I'm just kidding. So being picked on in middle school was it was only 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade that I was being picked on a lot, and to me it was one of the biggest struggles. That was one of the most toughest things for me because I remember kids who used to pick on me and fuck with me, and the next thing you would see is tables flying and chairs flying. Sometimes you would see a human fly. It was just wild, okay? It was just a crazy, crazy moment, okay? So, and you can imagine by doing all those crazy things, what ends up happening? You get kicked out of school. So I literally got kicked out of 9 schools. 9 total schools from the age of 5 years old all the way till 18 years old. I got kicked out of almost 9 schools. Okay, I got kicked out of 8 actually. The 9th one didn't kick me out. They felt bad for me. They let me graduate. It was Forest Hills High School. Thank you so much, right? But they were about to. They're like this close. My dean record was like this big. But that was pretty much my younger ages, So let me ask you, because I'll go back to you a little bit. So what changed around 10, 11, 12? what changed from 10, 11, 12 years old till about 18, 19? Like, how was your life in that time frame?
I mean, I hate to say it, but it just got better. No, I was.
Wow. Hey, everyone has hey, listen. That's what I'm trying to say. Everyone has a
I
different life
lived a
story.
pretty good childhood. I mean, I think my struggles were mainly in my 20s, but my teens were great. I mean, I got to the point where I just.
Were you partying a lot? You had a lot of fun?
I partied, but not like a party animal party, but I partied. I mean, I always had a pretty good amount of friends. I never really got picked. The only reason I got picked on is because I was so bored with just everyday life that I would always instigate. I was the guy poking people.
You were poking. You were the one
poking, but not in a bully way, like pick on me kind of way. Like, come on, I'm bored, pick on me for a little bit.
Gotcha.
Did you
have good grades? Did you have good grades? Or?
I was a C student. I was a 2.0 student.
Good.
I was not a C student. I never got C's. I got A's and F's.
So if you liked the subject, it was an A. If you hated it, it was an A.
It was never really A's. It was like B's and D's, basically. B's and D's, because I didn't like to fail, but I was never focused. I pretty much went everything. But I know honestly it was B's and D's, because I didn't really want to fail, so I did enough to not fail, but I never really did enough to get A's.
Well, I wasn't so. I'll be honest. I know you're not asking me. I'm just kind of squeezing myself in, but my life was completely different. I mean, it got worse and worse and worse and worse for me. And I don't want to victimize myself, but I'm just getting a little synopsis of what's going on when I was actually 12, 13, 14. So my parents got divorced at 14 years old, okay? I remember that day like it was yesterday. My father did something stupid and made my mom triggered. She's like, that's it, I'm done. which I heard many times, but it was this time it was really done. Like it was done. I'm like, yeah, whatever. It's always done. Then 2 days later, it's like back to the same cycle. This time it was really done. I was like, wow, my mom was getting tough, right? Now, by the way, I love my mom and I love my dad. I'm not against them. I just believe that their relationship really was not the healthiest one. They're awesome individuals. As a matter of fact, my mom is in a 10-year, 11-year relationship right now, and my dad got remarried, so he was happily happily married. It's just that they were just creating a lot of tension with each other. They were too young and immature. They didn't love each other. They just picked on each other. I guess I don't know what it was, but they was not communicating properly. So, I mean, at 14 years old, there's a lot of things going on. I'm getting kicked out of high school, high school at the time. I literally spent 3 months in a school, and I'm getting kicked out. Like, it was just problem after problem after problem. Expelled, suspended, kicked out, moving from schools. And then all of a sudden, this whole time as a kid, I forgot to say that ACS was involved in my family's history. When I say ACS, that's, I don't know what it stands for, but it's Child Protective Services. They were involved in the family's bullshit. So you gotta imagine, they're coming to my house, checking my head, making sure I got no bruises, taking my, just coming into the fridge, checking if we got beds. Now, my mom always took care of us with food and stuff like that. I mean, you gotta understand, like, the way we grew up, I kind of went back and forth a little bit. My mom and my dad, we grew up in a 1-bedroom apartment with my 2 brothers, so that's 5 people with a collective income of $12,000. Now, in today's money, that's almost $18,000 a year worth of income. But if you can imagine in 1990s, late 90s, mid 90s, making $12,000 a year, trying to support a family of 5, it wasn't the easiest. So to me, my like just like for you, your parents may be making good money, your father had a business. I didn't grow up in that nice way. For me, it was struggle after struggle after struggle after struggle. And I didn't understand at that time that the struggles are gonna make you or they're gonna break you. And at that time, I was kind of like, God, please, what's going on? And what I didn't realize was God was preparing me for the future. Because nowadays, when I get a little strong, I'm like, oh, okay, it's not a big deal. Because I went through all the craziest stuff in the early ages of my life. You're gonna go through struggles, guys. It's either gonna be in the beginning days of your life or later on in your life. I might as well I just gotta get all of them out of the way early on. I mean, you're gonna have
a lot of struggles to look for them. Well, I went through.
Well, you went through some struggles in your 20s and 30s. I mean, it's gonna happen. It's part of the process. You're not gonna just skip life without struggles. The only way it's gonna happen is if you're dead. There's no struggles when you're dead. There's no struggles, okay? Unless the worms are eating your body. But you gotta understand. So my life was a little bit crazy. ACS is involved. 14, 15 years old. I'm getting arrested. I'm going through a lot of bullshit, and then I get taken away into foster care, which changed my whole life. 16 years old, being in group home, being in a foster care system where I'm the only young, skinny, 110-pound, 4'11" white Jewish kid, where everyone else around me is Hispanic, black. There was maybe a few Asians, but it was just me as the only white Jewish kid, and me getting picked on. They're peeing in my shampoo bottle, beating me up. It was just a lot of tension in those 2 years of me being in that process from 15 and a half to about 17 and a half. And it was, I'm telling you right now, it was one of the most traumatic things I've ever went through in my life. It was so painful that at times I contemplated on killing myself. Now, I didn't tell it to anybody, but I just didn't want to live. I didn't want to be part of that process. And the reason why I say that, because I know that some of you guys may have gone through something crazy in your life. You may be going through it right now. And I want to tell you that it's okay. Life is going to be good. And it could be, you can laugh. You can laugh. I know the reason why you can laugh, and the reason why I say you can laugh is because I'm okay with that. I'm laughing too. It's funny for me. Like, that was the past, baby. The past doesn't have to hold you and destroy you. You can laugh about it. It's okay. You know what I'm saying? You could. You could. Laugh, baby. It's fine. The struggle. Listen. The struggle. I get serious before I smack you. Just kidding. The struggles are not supposed to make you cry. The struggles are supposed to make you stronger and make you be happy and say, you know what? I went through this. Because you're going to go through a struggle. Like right now, if I punch you in the neck right now, it'll be a nice, beautiful struggle right now. You're going to cry, but 10 minutes later, you'll be laughing about it. You have ice on your cheek. And
No, I wouldn't.
No, you probably wouldn't, right? My point is, you should, though. You should learn from it. Next time, don't laugh, right? Just kidding. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make is very simple. I went through that traumatic situation, and then I got another traumatic situation that was involved in that, and I got hit in the face with a brass knuckle. My nose was like this way, like Pinocchio, all the way to the left, and it was a fucked up situation, okay? The kid got arrested, there was a lawsuit, all this bullshit, but it changed my life. I made a decision. I'm not going to go through this again. I'm not going to be a victim. I'm not going to be a victim. Life is not going to destroy me. I'm going to beat this thing. So I finished high school, and at 19 years old, 18 years old, my mom was like, listen, you're not behaving, get your ass out of here.
19.
At 19, I was lost in the sauce, you know what I mean? He likes when I say that. So I was lost in the sauce. And what ended up happening is that I pretty much just got kicked out of my mom's house. My mom said, get the fuck out of here. You're not paying attention. You're not doing your work. You're not contributing. You're not following the rules here. You're coming in whenever you want. Leave. You're an adult. Get the hell out of here. So I ended up sleeping in my car. Now, this wasn't the first time I was sleeping in my car, because the first time when I was 15, 16 years old and I ran away from home, I'm literally sleeping on park benches with, duffel bags. I mean, it's a crazy turbulence. From 0 to 19, like I always say, it wasn't the most happiest moments. If you say, Michael, pick some happy moments, I don't really remember any happy moments. It's sad to say that I kind of suppressed all my emotions from 0 to 19. My life started at 19. Right now, I'm 27 years young, but I don't feel like I'm 27. I feel like I'm 10 years old, 8 years old, because my life really started in 2010 when I was 19. So I met a coach who took care of me and taught me a lot of the ropes. But let's go back to you a little bit. Your 20s. What were some of the struggles? I know you told me there was a lot of struggles. What were some of those struggles that you were going through?
I wouldn't say there was a lot of struggles. It was really just one main thing, and I think it was like some forms of depression a little bit. Like I was always super happy, super, energetic.
Just kidding.
But I just started going through some things. I mean, I probably like in my mid-20s when I was in graduate school is when it started to happen. I couldn't really explain it. I didn't really know what was going on because from what I saw, there was no real environmental triggers. It wasn't as if some major life event happened or something crazy happened. I mean, there was things going on, people, passing away and family and stuff like that, but nothing that I felt was a direct cause of that.
Correlations.
Well, there were correlations, but no causations.
Correlations.
Yeah. So anyway, I just started going through some like depression type symptoms, like tired, fatigue, sadness, emptiness, a lack of desire, lack of motivation, lack of.
So life was going like this for you a little bit.
Yeah, it was just things were going pretty decent in my life. I was in graduate school. I was doing well. I was planning to do some big things there, but I just started going through some psychological things, and it's hard to explain because, like I said, like you don't have to necessarily have a perfect explanation to feel the things that you're feeling.
Yeah.
I was being honest with myself. I'm like, all right, are these real feelings, or are these just in my head? Yeah. Now, it's hard to know sometimes because, what's real, what's not real. I mean, if you feel it, then I guess it's real, right? Like, I mean, what else is real then, right? So, I started going through that. When I started doing direct sales at around 27, things started to get a little bit better. And by the time I was 28, it kind of went away. And then, I guess like depression does, it kind of lingers there and it can come back and it comes back to haunt you and it comes back in different phases. And it was still there, but I was able to not just suppress it, because I don't really think that's the solution. I think I was able to kind of remove it. But for whatever reason, it did come back a little bit, about a year and a half ago. But I'm all better now. But that was probably my main struggle. I mean,
I don't let you be depressed, man. I'm not gonna let you be depressed. That's
it's not like that, bro. It's not. There's no you can let me or not let me. I mean, it's just part of your biology. But I think that was my main thing, is just dealing with that. And
so pretty much you had a pretty decent, average, happy kind of life, but you had your moments of struggles with different things.
Yeah, I mean, you got to also remember too. I mean, I didn't have nearly as many traumatic experiences as you, but one thing that I've always been able to do for whatever reason is I always looked at things, I guess like what would bother most people didn't really bother me as much. Now I'm sure if I was in your position, it would be a much different experience, but I still went through things. It's just, it didn't really affect me.
I'll be honest with you, I don't look for sympathy. I swear to God, I don't need that empathy because I am freaking amazing. Now listen, there's other struggles that I went through in my early 20s up until recently, like, starting a business. I failed my first 5 years of business. I was eating a bunch of L's. From 19 to 24, I had a bunch of L's. I wasn't really making money. I'm like, there's business struggles.
Business struggles, I've had a lot of business struggles.
Yeah. Business struggles, but I'm talking about life struggles. I mean, to be honest, with life struggles, I mean, they really change your paradigm. They really change your paradigm, but I am a greater individual today because of what I went through. I am glad I went through it. If you told me to relive it again, I probably would say no. But I definitely learned a lot from it. So
let me quickly tell you when I was at my lowest point. because I think that might be relevant. I was 27 years old. I left graduate school. I made the decision to leave. I had just, my grandfather's brothers, like one of those stories, left me a whole ton of money, like over $100,000 in money. So I had money in the bank. I was, I knew I always had that money in the bank. However, from the time I was 20 to 27, I had spent every single dollar. I was living back home with my mom. I was working for my father. I had no girlfriend. I was depressed. I was angry. I was treating my mom badly, and that's like, my mom's my biggest fan. I was like, I knew logically that what I was saying and feeling and doing was wrong, but emotionally I couldn't stop it. So I would react to her, and I knew afterwards I was like, damn, what the fuck am I doing? But I couldn't stop it, right? So I was really fucking depressed, and I was not in a good place. But then I found direct sales. I'm not blaming it on direct sales, but my mentors and the environment and the growth is what literally forced my brain to just say, you know what, Eric, stop being a little bitch in certain ways, and start doing things. When you see growth and you start to develop it, and I see the light. That's what I like to see. My future. Yeah. I started to see my future, and that's what started to turn things around.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I mean, listen, guys. We're going to end this podcast right now, but I want to tell you guys one thing. You got to go through the struggles. You got to go embrace the struggles. You're going to go through some tough moments. There's going to be moments where you're going to question why you're in this world. You're going to question your existence. You're going to question your purpose. You're going to question your reason why you're in this world. And you got to make a decision to go through the bullshit, go through the storm, and embrace every single challenge that's coming up front of you, because God is there to bless you once you overcome those challenges. God is there on the other side waiting to catch you. You just got to go through it. You just got to go jump. And in my office, I have a thing that says, take the risk. And I wish you guys can see that, because it's very important. Just take the risk. Just take the freaking leap of faith, and God's going to catch you. You're going to be okay. You are awesome. Life is awesome. Things are going to get better. Just go through the struggles, because everyone's got to go through them. Even Mr. Eric had to go through some of them. Not as much as some of us, not maybe some of you guys, but it's okay. You got to go through your battles and your struggles. So I love you guys, and I wish you nothing but the best. And as you guys know, every single Monday we spit fire and we spit the truth. And if you're not following me on Instagram, you crazy. You lost your mind, because I go through the daily struggles every single day and show you guys how exciting it is, and how being an entrepreneur is about eating shit 99% of the time, and 1% of the time is the caviar, like my boy Ali Zamani says. And follow me on YouTube as well. We're pushing a lot of content. So we love you guys. Have a good one.